All right, all right, all right. How's it going, everybody? How y'all doing on this wonderful Sunday morning? It is currently Valentine's Day, and I'm chilling in my closet. Uh, anyway, um, unfortunately, my two brothers, Josh and Chris, won't be able to make it to today's podcast. My brother Josh is currently on call. He just had to go to work just now, so we weren't able to get it rolling with him on. And Chris is out doing his thing. But I get to be your host today. I'm Jake, obviously, and we're gonna we're gonna see how it goes being a solo podcaster today. But without further ado, oh, right before we get right into it, I just want to say that we go live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Or we try to, right? A little bit of technical difficulties today, so we had to come in a little bit later. But for the most part, we try to keep it going, and we try to keep it going. Try to make sure that we're being as consistent as we can. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. If you want to like, follow, and share our content, that would be very much appreciated. We love all the feedback. We love all the comments. We love being able to interact with the community in general, and we want to keep promoting that. We want to make sure that everybody is welcomed, and that uh, nobody doesn't want to talk any type of basketball with us. So uh, with that out of the way, we're gonna kind of go ahead and get right into it, because I mean it's just me. If you want to know how my day's been going, it's been going pretty good. I woke up kind of early, and I'm just kind of chilling on a solid little Sunday. I don't got school tomorrow, so I get to chill, play some video games, watch some basketball, enjoy life. But we'll go ahead and get right into it. We're gonna start with my weekly thoughts for the week, and it was pretty good. I mean, we lost against Golden State, and that wasn't like, it is what it is. But we usually don't do well on back to backs anyway. Uh, and so I mean, like we just I don't know. It's just it was just a solid little week for us, where we're still kind of going through our motions. The first game against Golden State was cool, and the game against Atlanta was really good for those first three quarters. But I mean, like, that fourth quarter wasn't super pretty. So I mean, we're just gonna kind of move forward from that, I guess. Like, we'll just we'll see what we can do coming into this game against Charlotte, right? We had just started the Rodeo Road Trip, and now we're going to continue to keep going. So, I mean, like, I really do. I'm trying to remember a lot of the stuff from last week. Obviously, without my brothers here, it's a little bit harder to kind of keep things rolling by myself. But I'm gonna try to keep the ball rolling, keep talking, keep this content looking nice and fresh for this week. But with this Atlanta game, it was really solid. I'll kind of go a little bit deeper into it now, because it's just me, right? But this Atlanta game was really solid. I really liked those first three quarters. I mean, like who wouldn't like those first three quarters, right? Like they were pretty, they were nice quarters. But excuse me, sorry, pardon me. Uh, the uh, the fourth quarter, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Like, I don't have my brother Josh here to trash on me. I don't have Chris to kind of like debate with me on this kind of stuff. But I didn't like that fourth quarter at all, and I was very upset with Lonnie. Like I don't know. I didn't like what I saw from him in the fourth quarter. I feel like it was something that just didn't look pretty. I honestly wish that we had given him the ball a little bit more to at least create something. One thing that has been brought to my attention from being part of, like, Spurs Twitter, is that the Lonnie was like a point guard dominant ball handler in the G League, and he played very well there. So why are we trying to make him an off ball player? Like, I understand increasing his abilities and making him a better player. If as time goes on, he just starts becoming a better ball handler. I mean, a better off ball player and all that. That's perfect. I'm glad, but we can't we can't make a person just completely switch up their play style. Not everybody is able to do that, and I don't think Lonnie is one of those guys. I think he needs the ball in his hands, and I feel like this entire first half of the season has kind of showed that. And another thing to note is that Derek starts every game that he can. Like, we're starting Derek over Lonnie. So I think our plan really was to keep Lonnie on that bench, to give him that bench role, but it's upsetting to see that we're not giving him the ball in his hands. It's upsetting to see that he's not I don't know. I feel like not necessarily that he's not making the most of the opportunities, but that the team isn't giving him the opportunities to make the most of it. And I think I feel like that's something that needs to change. I feel like we need to work on that. We need to make sure that we're involving our players to their max, to their best ability. Because if personally, for me, I don't think we are going to be a playoff team. And honestly, this entire first half of the season is kind of showing me that we are going to be a playoff team, right? We're beating the good teams, and we're making progress that like, it's keeping us in the playoff run right now. But I still feel like there's going to be some point in this year that we'll start to kind of get hit, or we're going to start, or we're going to kind of get to see that this is a young team that won't be able to just kind of like, maybe we'll be able to make that 8th seed, maybe. But if we are going to be a playoff team, we have to step it up. Like, I feel like we can't be skipping by on these wins. I don't want to see us be the Portland Trailblazers of the last couple of years, where we relied on Damian Lillard where they relied on Damian Lillard to like hit game-winning threes on a night-to-night basis so that he can struggle to get them to an 8th seed. No, I don't want to be like that. I want us to have like a stable team that's able to win solidly on a night-to-night basis, like kind of like that Atlanta game. Like, we had a 42-point lead, like I think 42. I might be wrong. We had a large lead in the game, and obviously, I like that fourth quarter was nothing. So it's not like the blowout like got chased down, but it was more like, we had a really good we had a very good lead, and we were able to just sit DeMar and the rest of our starters for the rest, like for 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, because we didn't need them out there. So it's like I want us to keep doing that. Obviously, we're not going to be able to have that to where we can sit DeMar for 7 whole minutes in a fourth quarter because we have such a big lead. But yeah, exactly. My brother Chris being able to kind of watch this on some different platforms, right? But we haven't been able to defend a large lead this year. Our garbage time execution will get better. Lonnie played decently in the first. See, like, I mean, yeah, you're right. He did play pretty well in the first, and I mean, like, I liked seeing like, I didn't get to see much of the first quarter. I liked really seeing the second and the third. And I guess, that's definitely something that's on my part, right? Like, I want to trash talk Lonnie, but I didn't know that I didn't really know that he had such a good first quarter. But if he had such a good first quarter, it's because he had a first quarter on the bench. It's because he had a first quarter that wasn't exactly it wasn't in the role that he'd been playing all season. So, like, I don't know. I this entire last week has been an experience. We're gonna have to see what happens. We're gonna have to see what I don't know. We're just gonna it was a very nice week to see us do 2-1, like my brother Chris has been saying multiple times, of just wanting to make be having those 2-1 splits. And obviously, we're not going to go 4-0. We're not going to go undefeated every we're not going to go 4-0, 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, right? Like, we're not going to go undefeated every week, right? But to have those to have the 2-1 splits, to have the 3-2 splits, like, whatever, those splits where we're winning more games than we're losing games, then it's clear as day. It's going to end up coming into us being in the playoff seed while other teams aren't, right? So that's just going to be what's kind of going into this stuff. But that's kind of like the weekly thoughts, right? I was able to kind of ramble on, and there's nothing much to be said about the Golden State games, other than, like, I mean, we had a solid little win. against Golden State. It was kind of a close win on that first game, and obviously, like, I can't just blow by the fact that DeJounte Murray's a freaking killer from that first game. He was a monster, a madman out there. But then that second game, like I had said it on my personal Twitter, on my personal Twitter, that night was that, like, if DJ doesn't have another night like that, how are we going to be able to kind of, like, we had to skimp by that win. And so if DJ's not having a night like that, like, what are we going to do to try and make up for it? And we did kind of make up for it, but it wasn't like, I mean, it obviously it wasn't enough to get that win over Golden State, and we kind of took a pretty bad loss in that third quarter. If I can get to this real quick, yeah, Steph had 32. Freaking they, like, most of their players except for Draymond Green went double digits, and then they had a couple people off their bench that had double digits. So I mean, like, it's just it was just like, I mean, it was their night. They were hitting their shots and we weren't. Which, I mean, we kind of, like I said, we kind of did step it up, but like a 4 for 11 night from DeMar, 4 for 10 from DJ, 2 for 7 from Devin, like it's just the kind of stuff that, like, it just wasn't our night. 0 for 5 from Lonnie, like, it just happens. So that first game we skimmed by, and DJ had a really good win. That second game we just really weren't hitting most of our shots, and it is what it is. But we're gonna kind of go a little bit into some of the questions, right? Obviously, I had some questions for me and Josh to kind of get rolling, but then Josh had to leave, so now it's just me, right? I get to give my opinion on this stuff. So getting right into it, one of the big spots this week was seeing LaMarcus not play and seeing Yak start. And so I think this is a really good question to get started off. Should Yak get the starting job? And I think so. I honestly think that this week has showed that LaMarcus either needs to be traded or we need to try and figure something out for him to be on the bench. Now, our other brother Juan, he's always kind of pushed it into my mind of, like, we don't need to be paying $25 million to somebody who's going to be sitting on the bench. But in this case, we don't have that luxury to where we can say that, all right, LaMarcus getting paid $25 million, he can start on a night-to-night basis. Like, no, LaMarcus is a little bit up there in age, and it is clear that like, Jakob starting has been very good for us. He's helped these first quarter pushes to give us those big leads, like the one in Atlanta. So it's like, I definitely think that, like, if we can try and figure something out for LaMarcus now, there's gonna be those nights. Like, I mean, I can't really think of a team right now. I guess, like, if I can kind of remember, like, I think like Willie Cauley-Stein's on the Mavericks. I don't know if he starts or not, right? But Willie Cauley-Stein's on the Mavericks. If Kristaps is their starting center and we have Yacht guarding him, that's okay. But then if Willie Cauley-Stein's out there on the bench with LaMarcus, Willie Cauley-Stein's going to run around him. They're going to run that pick and roll right through him. LaMarcus is going to get beat off that pick and roll again. And then, like, I don't know. I mean, he is a big body. LaMarcus is a big body. So he might not have to step out as much or whatever, especially against a backup center. But it's still, like, I mean, I feel like they could still try and take advantage of our defensive liability, his defensive liability in those half court sets and full court sets too, man. If LaMarcus doesn't get a board and we're running back on defense and Willie Cauley-Stein's already down the court, like, we can't do anything about it because LaMarcus is just too slow. So that's just an example. I mean, like, I can't really think of any of many other ones. I guess, like later this week, it's going to be going against the Cavs, right? And as far as I know, Jared Allen and Andre Drummond are not on a court together, unless they are, and they're running two big men right there. But if my assumption is that they're not, and if they're not, then like, if we're running LaMarcus on the bench against Jared Allen, I don't know about all that. Like it's not going to be pretty. Now those are two starting quality centers. Those are two centers that deserve to be starters. Jared Allen should be a starter in the NBA, and if he isn't, then, I mean, obviously that's just because the Cavs have too many big men on their team. But it's not a bad thing. The Cavs aren't exactly in a championship winning team right now. I like what they're building over there. But the question is should Yak get the starting job? So yeah, like I said, he should. I don't think there's really many things other than the fact that that LaMarcus provides all the good spacing. And Yak doesn't. But Yak is so much of a better defender that he his I feel like his offensive liabilities are not as bad as LaMarcus's defensive liabilities, but obviously LaMarcus is still a better player. Like it's not like when we talk about this stuff, we're not saying LaMarcus is not better than Jakob, but Jakob's defense is just more crucial for our team right now. We just need that. That's a little bit more valuable, and that's just the way that things are kind of rolling right now. It's just the way that the cards have been played for us, and the way that we're gonna have to kind of move things. We kind of fix this so y'all can see my face a little bit better. But that's just that's kind of how things have been rolling. Like Yak's been playing good. Yak's been trying hard. He's been doing his thing. And at the beginning of the season, it wasn't pretty, but now he's kind of picked it up. Now he's kind of making it look better, making it look like he's the Yak of old. I don't know. I feel like if we can put if we can put LaMarcus in a good position, I feel like it does help his market value. I feel like if we show other teams that running LaMarcus through a system like we have, but on our bench and it's still working, I feel like that kind of shows that he's a little bit more flexible. It shows that he's not as he's not being as like one dimensional, like this is the only thing that he can do on an offense and on a defense. So if we can get him to work on that second unit and work right, like I think it'll work. I think that that could actually bump his market value, because at this point, we're if you're another team, let's see, Blazers, who else would want somebody like LaMarcus, right? Like the Blazers, maybe some Eastern Conference teams, maybe the Celtics. I don't know if they really want, like, their big man problem. LaMarcus is not that solution for their big man problem. Now, if they offered Jaylen Brown for LaMarcus Aldridge, I would take that. But either way, his market value isn't already that high. Like, it already is showing that he's not necessarily overpaid, but he's just older. He's older, right? So if we keep playing him like this, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're not gonna be able to do anything. Like, he's gonna come back. He's gonna be another hindrance on the defensive end, and then his offensive game hasn't, it's good, but it's not as much as we can have for winning games. Like, if I'd much rather see Keldon, Devin, and Lonnie take those shots over LaMarcus taking those shots sometimes. If LaMarcus, and he's a rhythm guy, so if he doesn't have his rhythm, what is he doing out there on the court? He can provide some spacing, but that's about it. And so if we can put him in a position where it's on the bench and he starts succeeding in that role, then yeah, we start bumping his market value up. I feel like the thing is, like, at this point, his value isn't that high enough to where we can really get anything. We can get anything much of value, and if anything, I feel like we're gonna get anything that's less value than what LaMarcus could give us. So if it doesn't work out and his value gets even lower, well, then we finish out the year and he walks next season, and it's not, it's just the 25 million off the books. So that's the only thing that I could see about, like, why not try it? Because it's not like we're unless a team comes to us wanting a trade like soon, like, there's not necessarily any type of market value for LaMarcus that will kind of work right now. Just with this contract, really. But, like, obviously, like, you let LaMarcus walk, and next year he's getting paid maybe $8 million, maybe $6 million to a contributing team. Bam! Now he's either a solid center or a backup center for any team that provides solid spacing and can be a number one option from time to time. Like, I think that's perfect for him. But at the moment getting paid $25 million for us, and trying to be our starting first or second option just isn't working. It's not translating as much as we need it to. So to finish that off, Jakob should be getting the starting role in my books, but I can understand why people would want to keep LaMarcus in the starting role. And he is a vet. He does make veteran decisions. He's not dumb on the court. And not to say that Jakob is dumb on the court, but Jakob makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's like LaMarcus just doesn't make those as many mistakes as like somebody like Keldon, Yak, Devin, even like Lonnie, right? Like any of those guys would. So it's like I can see why you would want to put LaMarcus on the or keep him on the starting role, but I would personally like to start seeing us maybe experiment a little bit more, especially not obviously we don't really have a cushion in terms of our wins. If we lose a game, it's crucial. It's very crucial if we lose a game. But maybe like against these Eastern Conference teams on this road trip, like we're gonna maybe we start to kind of see a little bit of experimentation. It's going to be a long road trip. It's going to be not necessarily a tough road trip, but it's just going to be like, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be something that like, we'll see how our players do. Our guys have not been playing great in back-to-backs, and they're not exactly like, yeah, we're not playing good. We're not playing great in back-to-backs. So I could see us getting a little gassed out towards the end of this road trip, and that might lead to a couple losses, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. Going into the next thing, we were kind of talking. There's a couple rumors around the NBA recently about a solid little player named John Collins, right? Excuse me. And he's been kind of putting up he's been put up in some trade rumors, right? So to kind of get into that, like, for me, real quick. Good point. Golden State was a good time to start Yacht because Golden State was small, allowed them to be successful. Maybe we do the same with LA in the bench. See, it kind of works. I think that this could kind of I think that Yacht starting could be something that I feel like, yeah, if we experiment with it just a little bit, maybe we do figure something out. Maybe Yacht can be our starting center and let LaMarcus provide some solid spacing off the bench. So we'll see. But like I was saying, let's kind of go back into the John Collins trade, right? So. JC, John Collins. He's a power forward / center, I guess, for the Atlanta Hawks. He's a solid little power forward, right? Very athletic guy, very not necessarily very, very fast, right? But he's fast for a big man's speed, right? And he's very athletic, like I said. He does a little bit of everything on the offensive end, and I think he's not bad on the defensive end, right? But he's a little bit smaller, so it's like you can understand why maybe he's he's just a little bit of a smaller defender. So, excuse me. So to kind of get that stuff out of the way, like I think that this could be a trade that we could go with. I know there was an altercation. Excuse me, sorry. And kind of slow down a little bit. I know there was an altercation in the first quarter of the game, and so like it was like John Collins, DeJounte Murray, like they were just kind of getting into it a little bit after DeMar had gotten fouled, and I didn't really get to see much of it. I don't know if it was just competitiveness or if John Collins really was just being a punk. And obviously, that probably like brought his trade value down from us. At least we probably won't trade for him because we saw that one little altercation. But I don't know. I'd love to see a guy like John Collins on our team. I'd love to see a guy who can rim run, who can like the second somebody puts up a shot, we get our board. And we see DeJounte Murray and John Collins running right at the rim, and we just see a nice little alley-oop, right? And I feel like it would be kind of good. I feel like I think that he could do a lot for us. But with the situation at hand, I kind of want to get into like the trade talks, I guess, like what would we trade for? And at first, in my mind, I was kind of thinking, okay, we're gonna obviously Lamarcus, John Collins are the two centerpieces, right? That's how money matches. Everything's gonna be good, right? I think money would match. I don't think the Hawks really have anybody on their books that cost a lot of money, but yeah. So John Collins is gonna be a restricted free agent next year, so he's on his last year of his deal. His trade value is gonna be a little bit lower, right? But he so at first it was like, all right, LaMarcus, Lonnie, maybe Lonnie. The two pieces that kind of came up for me were Lonnie or Derek, and I would kind of put Lonnie in that situation a little bit more. I don't want to trade Lonnie, obviously, but we'll kind of get a little bit more into that, right? And then a 20. I don't want to give up next year's draft pick because next year's draft pick is supposed to be loaded. We're supposed to get a good talent overall, and so wherever we end up in the draft, whether that's the lottery or like in the mid 16, 17 range, like I honestly like I want to keep that pick because that guy can be good. Like whatever it is, whatever it's supposed to be, because apparently this draft class is loaded, and um if that means that we can get somebody who has some solid talent on him, I don't want to trade this draft pick. And clearly not many teams have traded their picks other than like the people who have just traded like future picks, like Houston. I think Miami might have traded their pick a while back. But there's supposed to be a lot of talent in this draft. So I'd like to keep the 2021 draft pick and maybe trade the 2022 or 2023. And that was kind of my idea at the beginning was, all right, we're giving you a vet that's expiring, a young player, and a pick for John Collins so that we can have a 5-year deal with this guy and run with him for the next 5 years. And I feel like that's a solid little trade because then Atlanta's getting something out of not necessarily nothing, right? But they're getting a little bit of something out of their young player that they're not seeing eye to eye when it comes to the payment. And just to kind of note that John Collins wants to be paid like a max player, but the Hawks don't see him as a max player. I personally see him as a little less than a max player, not a 28 million guy, but more than a 19, 20 million guy. So I could see him like I could see us if we ever traded for him. Obviously we're not a big market. We're not that market that gets Giannis's. We're not the guys that signs LeBron, like we're the guys that will pick up our role players, our vets, and move with whatever we have to kind of work with in our draft, obviously, right? So I feel like us overpaying somebody like John Collins, maybe not a max, but like I said, if his range is around that 19, 20 and we pay him 23 to 25 million, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at that at all because I feel like even though we're kind of overpaying, it's kind of like that Utah situation, except for I don't know if paying Rudy Gobert the max is going to help Utah that much, but which they're the first seed in the East. I mean the West, so I can't really like say much. They're winning games right now, but uh, still, I think like he's getting paid like 48 million close to the end of his contract. So it's like I don't know if I want to pay Rudy Gobert 48 million at the end of his contract. Point being, if we're paying John Collins around that amount of money, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't get upset. Then I don't know how true this is, but another rumor that kind of spiked up was that the Hawks are already just kind of gonna let him walk in free agency. So I honestly like now that lowers his trade value even more. That the Hawks we're just gonna let him walk, and if we don't make the trade, I'm just gonna like I would just offer him the amount of money that we have for LaMarcus and a little bit more. We're gonna have a lot of draft capital next year, and not draft. We're gonna have a lot of cap space, right? We're gonna have a lot of that next year, and we'll be able to work with it. We'll be able to pay John Collins that amount of money to be a rim runner. Like I feel like the fact that he knows that I or maybe he doesn't like he feels like he is a max player, but but like the rest of the league doesn't. I feel like us kind of overpaying a little bit wouldn't be too bad of an idea. And that's like, if we don't really get a trade going, if we do try to get a trade going, especially with like his value and stuff right now I kind of get it to, let's just keep Lonnie. Let's just trade LaMarcus and a 2022 first or 2023 first, whatever, for John Collins, just because like that's one less that's like we're still giving up a solid little piece. Depending on what we look like in 2022 or 2023, maybe we even like lottery protect it just in case. I don't know. I don't know about y'all, but like, I'd like to say that by the time we're in 2022 or 2023, like our young players have developed mostly. Lonnie's coming out good. DJ's obviously shown that he's taking a step forward. He's kind of becoming the man that he's going to be for the next couple of years. And all sorts of our other young guys, right? Devin, Keldon, like all those guys, the draft pick for next year. So we'll be we'll be looking like a young team pushing the playoffs every year. So I think that 2022, 2023 pick won't be as valuable, and it'll be like a 20th pick overall kind of thing, and we'll get John Collins out of that. Imagine trading LaMarcus Aldridge and a 20th pick for John Collins, and I don't think that's a bad deal for us, and then for the Hawks either. The Hawks are if they know that they don't want to pay John Collins, they're getting a little bit of value. It's kind of like the same thing, or not necessarily the same thing. It's still two different situations. It's kind of like the same thing with Kawhi, which is why, like, some people say that we got robbed. Some people say that we lost the trade and stuff. But I feel like it was kind of a win-win. Like, we Kawhi put us in a lose-lose situation, and it was either let him walk or trade him for a little, like, for some type of value. And we got a all-star level player, Jakob, and Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson can be really, really good in the future too. And I feel like even though the Raptors won by getting a ring, because at the end of the day, you make your trades, you're building your franchises so that you can get rings. The Raptors won the trade by getting Kawhi. We weren't necessarily losers in the trade. We just, like, we were just, in a sense, like, we're two winners in a trade, but our wins just going to be a little bit longer. It's just going to take time, and so it's like, yeah, like the same thing with the Hawks. You're not losing in a trade for trading John Collins for LaMarcus and a 20th pick, because if you're already gonna let this guy walk, you're getting some value. You're getting a guy who can still provide some type of spacing in LaMarcus, and then you're getting a draft pick for later on that you can still build up, and it's still in the timeline of Trae Young. He's not gonna be broken and getting ready to leave Atlanta by the time that 2022, 2023 pick comes in, so I feel like if we do trade for John Collins, that's kind of like the two little ideas that I have of, like, either trading LaMarcus, that pick, and Lonnie, or being able to just trade LaMarcus, that pick, and being able to move on with their lives. Either way, though, like I think that if we don't trade for him, and if he doesn't get traded by the trade deadline this year, I hope we make a push for him. I want us to try and sign a guy like that. I want us to be able to get somebody who can run the floor with our young guys, be able to kind of to go back and forth and be able to do their stuff. It's fun being able to talk for 34 minutes straight by myself. I get to do my thing. I get to enjoy not having anybody tell me that I'm wrong. But we'll kind of move on. I just real quick wanted to give our G League, our Austin Spurs, a spotlight. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but Trey Jones and Luka Samanic have been killing it in the G League so far. There's also been another player named, like, Robert Woodard that I saw like that first game, and he was killing it too. But I think he's a flex assignment for the Kings. But still, it's nice to see, like, another young player, another young prospect, like, be developed on our team, right? And just to kind of show, I just kind of wanted to say that, like, our guys are doing good out there. They are killing it, and I've been able to kind of watch here and there on our games, And I don't know if many of y'all saw, but there's a solid dunk that Trey Jones got in last game, in the last game that they played, and it was pretty good. Like he is showing so much potential for me. Like I'm so excited to see him develop even more. And like, excuse me. And Luka, like people, he's been up and down, right? Like I still don't know if I wanted to draft a project with the 19th pick in the draft. I felt like there's definitely still talent there at that point that maybe could be contributing this year, but I'm not mad. We got Keldon and Luka's just being a project. So uh it's not like, I feel like he can still, his play style and the way that his build is perfect for our team. Like it's still good. Like he can still um he can come in at either like at the end of this year or later next year, right? He can still come in and provide meaningful rotational minutes for us. And I think that I've been seeing stuff about him just saying that like he was shy, he didn't look, he just didn't feel right in his first season, and this year that he's just coming to bring more intensity. And I feel like that's all he needs. I feel like being able to get that willingness, being able to get that work ethic ready to go, I feel like that's gonna slowly make him be able to kind of pan out more. Uh, I'm younger, right? I don't have the memories of, if I can remember, like the Livio Jean Charles and like some of those guys that we drafted in like the mid 2000s to early 2010s that just aren't on our team anymore. And but never, not like Kyle. Kyle, we drafted him, and he was our role player for, he was a really good role player for a long time before finding another position with the Grizzlies. But like Livio Jean Charles never really made it out of the G League, really. Like I don't think I ever remember seeing him on any other NBA roster. So it's like there are those players that, like, I understand as Spurs fans, you see a guy that's like a little bit of an unknown name, and you're like, oh, what the heck? We spent a 19th pick on him. Like, what? We're 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 gonna have to wait 4 years to see if this guy even does anything on our team. Like I get being scared for that, and this is my first experience of like, oh no, we haven't, like, we haven't really, like, we don't know what's in store for this guy, and we don't want him to be a project for 8 years and then maybe getting on our team for 2 years. Like we drafted Davis in 2011, which I think we drafted Davis with like the second round pick or something like that, right? But we drafted Davis in 2011, didn't come in until 2017, maybe something along the lines of that. He didn't come in until way later, and now like he played like a couple years with us, and then now he's with the Wizards. And poor Davis, he's having like a little bit of a rough stint over in Washington right now. But Washington in general is not really having a great year. Uh, Either way though, like I understand where people can get a little scared for Luka, and not want, like, not wanting him to be the project that like just stays away from us for a long time and doesn't pan out. But I think that he's showing a lot of what he's capable of. And for me personally, I haven't been too impressed with what I've seen, but at the same time, like, he's having those quiet nights. He's having quiet double doubles for me. And maybe he's exploding a little bit more whenever I'm not watching it, because I don't get to watch the entire game. But um he's not exactly like whenever I see him out there, he's like maybe a little bit too passive. But there was like a couple times throughout the game where it's like I know this last game that I watched, like Trey Jones and him, like they were both kind of going off, they're doing their thing, and towards the end of the game, Trey like kind of like pushed everybody out so that he could get a pick and roll with Luka, because at that point it was just them two doing their thing. And I feel like that's perfect. I feel like I like seeing that, because one, uh it lets me know that, like, in their minds, Luka and Trey are like the two best on the team. But Trey's also giving that initiative. He's being the leader out there on the court. He's already involving himself and getting ready. And I love to see that. Like, I've been very high on Trey. Like, I saw that we had put him on a contract for 3 years, and I was like, oh, we don't, Normally our second round picks don't really do that kind of stuff. Like Quindary, when we drafted him, we just signed him to 2-way contracts. Like we signed him last year on a 2-way, we signed him this year on a 2-way. I believe we might have actually signed him on a 1-year deal because he's up here with us. But that might also be COVID related. He just might not be able to. To go down to the G League, all that kind of good stuff. So he's able to just stay up here. It's the same thing that I thought we did with Keita Bates, but Keita Bates is also up here with us. And so seeing that we signed him to a 3-year deal like that, I was like, oh well, that means that we think that he can be talented. We think that he fits our timeline, and I feel like he does. Like I want to keep Patty until he retires. I want Patty to retire Spur, and I want us to put his jersey up on the banners with Timmy in them. But eventually Patty is gonna retire soon. He's having a career year, but next year and the year after that, if he leaves, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm gonna be very sad because I'd love to keep Patty, but I just want our timeline doesn't really fit if Patty stays with us for the next however many years, you know? It does kind of fit if he stays with the next 2, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get at, because Trey having that 3-year contract means that the second Patty kind of walks out of the door is the second Trey kind of walks into the door, and he gets to take those backup point guard keys, you know? We've all talked about having Derek being that backup point guard, and I like seeing that. But honestly, if in my dream world, if I see a starting lineup of DJ, Derek, Devin, Keldon in a couple years, and then my backup guards are Trey Jones and Lonnie Walker, and this is all saying in a bit of this is saying if they all develop and they all come out good, I personally don't think that we would all have all-stars on a team, but I definitely think that they could all be solid contributors on our squad, right? And so if all of them, panned out, all of it worked out, I feel like that's such a strong lineup, you know. DeJounte's a borderline all-star, and he's playing like an all-star right now. He's killing it. Derek always makes those right plays, makes those smart plays. We don't really know what we have in store for Devin because Devin's a rookie. You know, he has so much potential oozing out of him right now that we don't know if he can we don't know what's in store for him really. So the fact that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. The fact that Trey Jones can also kind of be out there and hold the keys for our offense, with Lonnie being a spark plug scorer off the bench, or maybe even swapping it a little bit, you know, maybe Lonnie's kind of coming into the starting lineup, and Devin or Derek's are back up for the night, right? Whatever, right? I feel like all that if it could all pan out, obviously, and not everything pans out right, but if it could all pan out, that's such a strong guard lineup, and it's so I feel like that future is so bright for our guys, and seeing Trey Jones and Luka do their thing, and I didn't even talk about Luka. If Luka pans out too, then he can take that forward position with Keldon too, and they could be a 1-2 punch on that forward position. They could be really strong right there. You have Keldon attacking the rim and being such a big body, and then you have Luka's kind of more finesse style of play. I feel like that would be really nice to see out there. And that's obviously if they all pan out. But I mean, that's just really how everything's kind of looking our young guys are all looking really good. I know I've been mainly talking about Trey Jones and Luka Samanic with that little bit of Robert Woodard, but Cam Reynolds has been playing solid, and he's another guy that we just signed on a little deal that we were going to keep for our G League to kind of develop him, and it's good seeing that kind of stuff. We beat the Yuri Bayhawks, if I can remember that name right. We beat the Yuri Bayhawks, and they had freaking Jordan Bell and Amari Spellman on their team. And they had this other young guy that plays for the Hawks, maybe some guy who's doing pretty well on the team, right? But uh, the overall thing was that uh, the for me, the fact that Trey Jones and Luka Samanic were able to kind of lead a team better than two NBA players that have been in the game for so long, like I'm very happy with that. Now, obviously, that's kind of like two different like positions, right? Trey's the leader of the offense, and Jordan Bell and Amari Spellman are like a power forward center, right? But it's still the fact that and they had solid little nights too. Jordan Bell and Amari Spellman did, but it's like we're seeing it's not that like obviously when you think about it, you're playing against other G League guys, you're playing against other guys that's kind of like it's going to be a little bit better than college, but definitely not up there at the NBA level yet, right? Uh, but that kind of a game against those guys that are NBA level that have been contributors on the Golden State team. Jordan Bell, like both Jordan Bell and Amari Spellman were on those Golden State teams. They've definitely have not necessarily have a knack for winning, obviously, right? But they've been in that winning atmosphere, and I'm sure that if you were on that Golden State team, you would have picked something up from them, right? And so the like seeing that us win against them is it's really good to see. It's really good to see our young guys being able to develop right and being able to just kind of like see see what's in store for these guys, uh I'm gonna kind of get a little bit more into the this week now, just because we're at this 47-minute mark. I've been able to kind of yap for 47 minutes straight. I'm gonna keep putting notes on that just because I'm I'm talking a lot. um, but I'm enjoying this Sunday morning with y'all, right? And I hope everybody's having a really good Valentine's Day. I hope that everything's all good for people out there, and everything's gonna be looking all good for the rest of this week at least, right? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, uh, to finish all that off, everything's looking good for our guys. And we're gonna be going into this rodeo road trip, or we already are into this rodeo road trip. We're gonna be going into it a little bit more right now. So this week we have a 4-game week. It's going to be tonight against Charlotte. Give me 1 second so I can get those other games up real quick. It's going to be Sunday night against Charlotte, Tuesday against Detroit, Wednesday on our back-to-back against Cleveland, and then Saturday against New York. So we'll go ahead and get right into it, right? It's going to be the Charlotte Hornets team. Obviously, the big name right here, LaMelo Ball. It's going to be super fun seeing us play against him. I cannot wait to see what DeJounte is going to do tonight, because honestly, my brother Chris has been saying this a lot, but like, playing against these teams that have a lot of media coverage is going to be really good for us, because these are the games that we got to show out. These are the games that we have to show that we are that we need to be put on the map, that they can't just not talk about us. We have been talking about the Bleacher Report stuff, and this last week there's been hardly anything for us. They didn't talk about DeJounte's game winner against Golden State, but they want to talk about Steph's crazy layup, and don't get me wrong, that layup was crazy, but it's still the fact that, like, all right, come on, guys, can y'all please talk about the San Antonio Spurs once, and they finally gave us our mention whenever we were blowing out the Hawks, but that's about it. So it's like, this is another game that we're gonna be looking forward to, because we need to make a statement. Honestly, we gotta beat this solid little team. Like, I mean, coming into this year, I don't think anybody was really expecting them to do this well. And obviously at the beginning of the year too, because LaMelo was struggling, like they weren't exactly looking too hot out there. But but I mean, LaMelo picked it up. Gordon Hayward, I've always liked Gordon Hayward's play, and it's unfortunate that he had gotten hurt like that the beginning of the season in his stint with the Celtics, and it just kind of like went downhill from there. But he's obviously showing people that he's still good enough to like even though he did get a little overpaid by Charlotte, like he's still showing that he's good. Like it's the same thing. It's the same thing as I was saying. Charlotte's a bigger market than us, but it's not. It's still not the Lakers. It's still not the Clippers. They're not the biggest free agent destination. So to get a guy like Gordon Hayward on your team, it helps. It helps a lot, and so this team's gonna be really fun to look at to watch. I've been a fan of Miles Bridges. I really like Devonte Graham, and I know Terry Rozier's a dog out there. He fights and everything. PJ Washington's also solid, and I think Malik Monk's starting to get his time back in. He had a couple off court issues with the team, but I'm hoping to see him be able to kind of turn it around and be able to look better out there, right? But to kind of look at their leaders, they obviously their star Gordon Hayward's gonna be leading the charge for them, right? And then they have Terry Rozier and then LaMelo right here. He's making his impact. 15 a night with 6 assists and 1.5 steals a game. That's solid from a rookie, man. You cannot ask for anything more. And it's always for me, like a couple guys. There's a couple guys in the league that I'm like, oh man, I hate playing against these guys, like the Zions and stuff like that. But then at the same time, it's like, all right, but I want to see these guys progress, and like, um, I can't wait to see how good LaMelo is going to be, and especially for the small market teams to get these kind of guys. Like seeing Giannis stay with the Bucks. Hopefully LaMelo stays here in Charlotte. Like all those teams that are small markets that don't get the free agent love, so they have to win through the draft. Like I want to see this stuff because then it still keeps the ball rolling on that kind of stuff. It still makes it to where we have a chance to where like back in the 90s, you didn't want to leave your team, but now here we are, and almost everybody wants to leave their team when they're not in a situation that they like all too much. So it's like, all right, what's the deal here? I I can't wait to see LaMelo kind of build up and hopefully stay in Charlotte, not leave for like the Lakers or something like that. Like, uh, you know, I I guess I kind of have to give a little bit of props to the Lakers, but at the same time, it's like it's annoying because it's like, man, I wish I could go 2 years, like a couple years, uh being kind of like being bad, right? Being mediocre, and then just getting LeBron on my team. Like there are teams that don't get that luxury, and it's like, well, you're the Lakers. You're freaking like you're just that biggest free agent organization. So it's like I don't, or destination. Sorry. So uh that's a little bit of me hating on the Lakers, but I don't know. Like it's just hard to it's hard to say like oh man, I really respect the Lakers for signing LeBron and Anthony Davis. It's like, man, you really didn't do much. I mean, yeah, you traded your young pieces, and that's a little bit of a risk, but you traded your young pieces for the best player in the world and a top 10 player in the NBA. So I don't know. Same thing with like the Nets. Like I like obviously when you think about it, you'd much rather take Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden over D'Angelo Russell and a bunch of scrappy dudes. But I would have loved to have seen D'Angelo Russell and them build their future in Brooklyn. Like, because I don't know, I just don't like. I mean, becoming a free agent destination, stuff like that. Like, it's annoying, and it all revolves around like those like the things between like should the players be loyal, should the organizations be loyal, because in both of those instances the players weren't loyal, or at least like in the Brooklyn Nets instant, like obviously KD leaving Golden State, nobody really cared for that, but like and same thing with Kyrie leaving Boston, right? But it's still just the fact of like the organization wasn't super loyal to their young players, and they traded all of them to get three superstars. um And then I guess just like obviously there's a couple of those things where it's like LeBron leaving the Cavs back in 09, 2010. I'm still too young for that stuff to remember it. But LeBron leaving the Cavs the first time, right, to go to the Heat, like I can understand people like I can understand him not wanting to be in that garbage situation, but he left his team to go to a super team. And so it's just like a bunch of those like back and forths kind of thing. And for me to see LaMelo be in a situation like this to where now he just needs to build his career, build his legacy in Charlotte, I love it. I want Charlotte to be good, and I want them to. They need to become a better organization, a better ran organization. Um, under the GOAT, Michael Jordan, in my opinion, right? But they need to become a better organization so that they can build around LaMelo because he's their future right now, and that's just about it. You know, I want to see him succeed. I want to see them succeed, but not against us. We better beat them tonight against. We better beat them. You know, we have very well a good arsenal to be able to hold down LaMelo and be able to beat everybody on this team. I'd like to say that DeMar is probably a little bit of a better player than Gordon Hayward is. I feel like our roster in total is a better team than them. And I think that we'll be able to kind of, hopefully we'll be able to just kind of come in tonight and get our work done so that we can kind of look forward into this week, into this rodeo road trip, right? Because it's gonna be a tough week, or it's in my opinion, the competition might not be tough, but it's still gonna be a tough week because we're gonna be on the road this entire time, this week and going into next week, right? So it's like, all right, let's see what our guys are gonna do. Chris, this is me kind of getting into what Chris was saying, right? Like of us not having he told us the other day that like we don't have we don't play good on back to backs, like we don't, and it's clear to see that like we don't. And so to not have our back to back this week, or to have a back to back this week while being on the road, that's gonna be tough. And we're gonna have to see what we can do. You know, like it's gonna be a very very crazy week for us, because it's like, all right, even though this competition isn't bad, we are known to playing down to our competition. We are known that like the second we get into into this back to back, like it's not gonna be pretty for us. So, or it could be fine, but there's a chance that it blows up in our face against Cleveland on Wednesday. Like that's what I want to get to. So, either way, we'll kind of finish this. I'll finish this preview to just say that like we could probably beat these guys, hold down LaMelo, keep Gordon Hayward from doing his thing, and I think we'll be fine. If LaMelo can't involve the offense, it'll be a little bit better. I know Devontae Graham is a solid little backup point guard for them, but I think our overall talent will be able to kind of beat their talent, you know. But just to kind of take a look at their lineups real quick, just to see this is saying that they're running 3 guards tonight, but I don't know about all that. I know for the most part they didn't give LaMelo the starting job, and I guess Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham were starting for them. And then on this side, for the 4 games, they put Devontae Graham on the backup. But who were they running instead? Let's see. That's PJ Washington. So maybe PJ Washington's not playing tonight. Maybe he's out. Definitely. We'll see later tonight and stuff like that. But if they don't have PJ Washington, then we're going to be a whole lot bigger than him. Lonnie. Keldon should run all over this team, because Cody Zeller is cool, but he's not. He's Cody Zeller at the end of the day, and I think we'll be able to we'll be able to handle these guys. So it's just kind of what this projected starting lineup is for today, I guess. But we'll see. I think we'll have a fun game against these guys. I didn't talk too much about Miles Bridges either. and he's a solid little player too. I like Miles Bridges. I like PJ Washington. I like all these young guys on the team. I've always liked Scary Terry ever since his stint in Boston, and so it's like I can't wait to see us match up against these guys, but we should be able to come out with the win. So going into our next game, it'll be Tuesday against Detroit. It's another like they I don't remember what their record is, but it's definitely one of the worst in the NBA, right? And uh their big name at the moment is good old Jeremy Grant. He's playing out of his mind for them, and I don't know if it could just be kind of like a solid player playing on a bad team, so he's getting a little bit of uh I forgot what the term is, but like kind of like meaningless minutes where it's just like uh or meaningless stats, right? Where he's playing really good, but he's playing really good on a bad team, so we don't know if he's that good. And I could kind of see that. Like, I mean, I feel like how good he was doing it with Denver last year is kind of how good he is, but he's just kind of being used a little bit more, so he's playing better this year. And so, whatever the case may be, he's a solid player. I like him. I feel like he's a really solid little stretch who can play defense all around and isn't bad. But then they also got some young guys in Sadiq Bey, Sekou Doumbia, Killian Hayes was the guy that they drafted. I know we had a lot of talks about us drafting him, and personally, I wasn't on board with it because he's like I think he's a let's see if they have it right here. Yeah, he's a 6'5" guard, and that's tall, but I'm glad we got Devin. I'm glad we picked up Devin instead of like a guy like Killian Hayes because it's like it's just that size and the defense that Devin brings pretty much. I feel like that helps us a whole lot more than what Killian Hayes would be able to bring to us. Uh, and I I've always been in support of the guys that like were drafted high but just never panned out because like the guys like Andrew Wiggins, is this guy Josh Jackson. I've always wanted them to succeed. Like even when they don't succeed, there's like a little bit of me that's like, all right, you have those stints where you can be solid for them. But I feel like he's kind of panned out his role of just being able to kind of lead a scoring unit on the bench, and I don't think that's bad. I think that's okay. I think he'd be a solid little bench presence for these guys. And they just traded Derrick Rose for Dennis Smith and a second round pick recently. And he's another guy like he looked so good on Dallas. He looked really really good on Dallas, but he just didn't pan out after he got traded to New York, and it hurts my soul because I was a huge fan of Dennis Smith Jr. Back when he was in Dallas, and I really wanted him to succeed. He was around the time whenever I started getting into the NBA, so it's like I start to watch these young guys, and I'm like, ooh, I really like this young guy. I want him to succeed. I'm growing up with these guys. So I want players like him, Josh Jackson, to be able to succeed. Even like Jahlil Okafor. Gosh, this is a team full of guys that were high draft picks, but just didn't really like pan out. Um, I wouldn't say Blake Griffin really did that, but like he's kind of washed now. He's slowing down and getting a little bit up there in the age gap, and we'll see what he can do, But it's just well this team isn't pretty right now. They're not winning a lot of games, but then they're competing. Like they took the Lakers to 2 overtimes I think last week, right? So it's like, or maybe the week before, but they're competing. They are a very competitive team, and even if they're not winning games, it's still the fact that like you never know. We gotta make sure that we come out and play right. Freaking Mason Plumlee went off on Golden State, I think, the other night, and I think they still lost, but he still played really well. He still played out of his mind, and see, like I mean, Jeremy Grant's leading the charge with 23 a game. Josh Jackson's their second leading scorer. See, so I'm sure Derrick Rose was probably their second leading scorer beforehand, but obviously he got traded, right? And you see, like I mean, this team's not like they don't play bad. They're just not winning games, and that's the only thing about it. Like I mean, I feel like that's the good thing about seeing that this year is that we're not seeing a lot of teams being garbage, other than like teams like maybe like the Wizards sometimes and stuff like that, right? And we're seeing a couple blowouts, like a couple too many blowouts in my opinion. But we're not really seeing teams be like the worst team in the league garbage. You know, you have those clear guys that are not going to be pretty good, like this Detroit Pistons team, like Minnesota, maybe Washington, depending on if they can pick it up, maybe if they can't pick it up, right? But yeah, you have those guys that do that, but they like they're still competing in games, and I love to see that. It makes me glad that like at least like obviously you'll never have a 1 through 30 competitive league, but if it gets cut down to 1 through 18, 1 through 19, I'm perfectly happy with that, because that means that mostly, like, there's eight seeds on both conferences. Mostly both conferences have um 8 teams plus, or 10 teams on each side that are fighting for those 1 through 8 seeds. And even if you have those guys that are clear cut, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, right? Clear cut above the rest, you can still see them lose on those nights, and I know a lot of people don't like a lot of people say that teams don't care about the regular season anymore, but it can still be a factor, uh they the freaking one of the things that I saw was like, the Jazz, like people saying like, oh, it doesn't matter, the Jazz are the first seed in the West. It does though, because if the Jazz are the first seed in the West, there's a good chance that the Clippers and the Lakers meet each other in the second round. And that's two finals contending teams that meet each other before the Western Conference Finals. And so it makes it easier for that Jazz team, Then the Jazz don't have to beat one of those two teams. They only have to try to run through one of them, So it's like the regular season does matter in those aspects, and having those seeds, especially in a competitive league, uh, it helps. It helps a lot. So uh, it'll be fun to see us play against a team like them, because they're, like I said, I feel like we can also beat this team. I feel like we have a whole lot more talent than them, but they still come out every night wanting to win games. They're not exactly coming out to lose, right? But they're coming out competitive. They're coming out and actually taking teams to 2 overtimes, So it's really good to see that. Just to kind of take a look at their projected starting lineups. DeLon Wright, he's solid little guy, right? Blake Griffin, Mason Plumlee's good. Wayne Ellington's a solid little vet for them, and Jeremy Grant, obviously the guy that I've been saying has been killing it this year, So they've been having to rotate their team a lot. I know there's been a couple roster changes, especially like that Derrick Rose one, right? And just like a bunch of different things that have made them have to like kind of switch things up and change it up. But it's good. I like this team. I like these players on this team. And I hope maybe Detroit can kind of turn it around sooner or later. But I'm gonna kind of run through the rest of this. It's we're already about an hour and eight in, and I'm getting a little winded on my speaking. So you can kind of go into Cleveland's next game, and we're gonna be going into Sexland for this game. And so Cleveland's another team that just kind of looks solid. They've been able to kind of pick it up. I like the duo of Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. Isaac Okoro's another like their young lottery pick that has been playing really well this year. But I think if I'm not mistaken, he did get injured. Oh, well, he's in their lineup. I don't know. Maybe I might be tripping. Whatever the case may be. I just know that Isaac Okoro is a solid little guy for them, and obviously we can't even forget Andre Drummond, Kevin Love. Like these are both guys that are solid for them. So I'm gonna be kind of talking as if most of these guys are playing in that sense, that they're not injured, because I don't have the IR list for them. I'll make sure to kind of try and find that for next week's podcast whenever my brothers are back, right? But so to kind of look at this, they have some solid guys. They have, like I said, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland are two really good guards. I've always liked Larry Nance Jr. Isaac Okoro is a solid defensive guard, or a defensive forward / guard, right? And then they even have Like, they have a solid center lineup. Like, hearing Andre Drummond, Kevin Love, Jared Allen, JaVale McGee. Now the spacing on the Jared Allen, JaVale McGee front court isn't good. It's still a strong, big lineup, and that's a lot of tall players. Kevin Love's not necessarily a big like that, but that's still three bigs that we're gonna have to be fighting against. And Larry Nance. Larry Nance is still like, he's 6'8". He played power forward a lot, so it's like we're gonna have to be dealing against all those guys if all healthy on Wednesday again after playing against Detroit. It's gonna be a scary game. It's gonna be it's gonna be the game that I'm the most worried about coming into this week, or it's up between this and New York because we'll talk about New York a little bit later. But this team has a nice mix of young talent and solid veteranship, and so obviously they're not exactly like pushing for the playoffs, but they're not bad. They are competitive. Like I said with Detroit, they're competitive. They're going to give us a run for our money, even if we are favored to win a game like this, right? Because like I mean, I know my brother Josh is pretty high on Andre Drummond, and I know he'd like to have a guy like him on our team, but like I mean, like yeah, like I mean, because having Andre Drummond on our team fixes our weaknesses. It's going to be exploited against us on Wednesday, where we're just not going to be able to get boards against them. You know, they're probably going to be able to fight for a ton of offensive rebounds against us, and we're not going to be able to do much about it. Like, yeah, Keldon will be able to kind of get in there. If Jakob's starting, he'll be able to do his thing. But if LaMarcus is on the bench and we're playing against Jared Allen, JaVale McGee, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. We're not going to be able to uh kind of match their size in that sense, right? So this is a team that I'm a little scared for just because of their size. And obviously, some teams have been able to kind of beat them, be able to win, but they haven't, like, it's still the fact that, like, you never know, this team could kind of just come in and work us, So uh, you can definitely see that their three leading scorers, Colin Sexton, Andre Drummond, and Darius Garland, right? And then Andre Drummond's leading their rebound charge, Jared Allen and Larry Nance right there. That's three guys. And obviously, I feel like Larry Nance would be a 10-point rebounder if Andre Drummond and Jared Allen weren't getting those rebounds. So it's like, all right, it's gonna be a bit of a scary night to see us go against them, and their defense is not bad. Their interior defense is going to kill us if we try to attack the entire time, and we'll see what's gonna happen. I feel like this is the one game of the week that I'm like, all right, well, I don't know about all this because we're coming off of a back-to-back. It's gonna be a road game, like going from Detroit to Cleveland's another thing. Like, our guys are going to be kind of tired. They're going to be a little gassed, and obviously, I think the way rotations are going to work is we're going to see a lot of Devin time, a lot of our young guys, the guys that don't get a lot of rotational minutes. We're going to see a lot of them play in the Detroit game, so that we can have DeMar, DeJounte, Derek, like those guys just be able to run. Hopefully, like if they have to, right? If they really, really have to, be able to run 30 minutes, 35 minutes, So we'll see though. We'll see. I feel like this game's gonna be fun because it's gonna be a challenge. It could either be fun because we'll be able to overcome the challenge, or it's just gonna be a blowout and we're gonna lose and it's gonna be annoying. But like I said, there's a lot of factors that are gonna play into it this week. A lot of scariness that's gonna come in this week to see what we're gonna have to do. So kind of going into just to look at their lineups, right? Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Coro, Andre Drummond, and Taurean Prince. Maybe Kevin Love's not playing at the moment, but even if he is, that's a lot. If not, maybe we'll be able to take advantage of that. Maybe Keldon will be able to kind of attack the rim a little bit better. Either way, I think this will be a fun game. I didn't even talk about Shetty Osman. He's a solid a little backup player for them too, and he provides a little bit of solid creation on their end. So for the last week of this game, it's going to be Saturday against the New York Knicks. Now, this team is another team that the beginning half of this week, I'm like, okay, we're gonna be okay. It's gonna be a hard fought, maybe a couple hard fought wins, but we're gonna be able to do our thing. These two games are a little bit more scary for me because I think that this New York team is going to be able to kind of step it up. This kind of be going into the amount of time that Derrick Rose has been a Knick. He'll have gotten his thing. Now this is a big injury, but Mitchell Robinson is going to be missing the next couple weeks for them with a fractured hand, I believe. And so they don't have a lot of interior presence other than Nerlens Noel, and I don't know how many minutes Taj Gibson gets, but they're a team that's very surprising. Julius Randle's playing like an all-star. Obi Toplin's young. RJ Barrett stepped it up, and like, Derrick Rose is Derrick Rose. He's just doing Derrick Rose things. He's being solid. Emmanuel Quickley's been a very big bright spot for this New York Knicks team, and if they start to get their stuff together by the end of the week, it's going to be a tough game against us. And maybe not as bad because Mitch Robinson won't be in the game, but it can still be a bit of a scary one. It can still they can still give us a scare. They can still give us a run for our money, like the other games. And it's gonna be kind of fun to see what we're gonna do. This game we're gonna have 2 days of rest, and I think we'll be able to kind of come into this one a little bit more composed. Especially if we lose against Cleveland, we're gonna want to bounce back against New York. Like my brothers have been saying, this is going to be an Eastern Conference, or mainly Eastern Conference rodeo road trip, and the West isn't the East isn't as strong as the West. So the fact is that these teams just aren't going to be as tough as the competition that we've been facing at the beginning of the season. But it can still be games. It can still be competitive games. It can still be games that still put us in tough spots, tough positions, to where we might not come out with the win for one night. So we'll see though. This New York Knicks team is going to be kind of crazy to see. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know what to expect. I don't really watch New York Knicks basketball too much. Elfrid Payton's solid. I've always liked specific players on this team. Julius Randle in his time as a Pelican, I liked. Nerlens Noel on the Thunder was cool. I'm always like Derrick Rose. Who doesn't like Derrick Rose, right? Like I said, Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton. I've always liked Elfrid Payton. Like I always thought that he was. I've always had a satisfaction watching past first point guards play. I understand that the league needs shooting out of those guards, but like, I've always been a fan of players like Rondo, Elfrid Payton. Trying to think of other like past first point guards that aren't necessarily scorers, right? Because you can go into the scorers, and you can go into like Steve Nash and Jason Kidd, right? Those guys can pass, they're pass first, but they can also score. Chris Paul, so those guys, like, they can do it all, right? Whereas like guys like Rondo and Elfrid Payton really worked on their defensive and passing abilities instead of their shooting. And I've always liked that. I've always felt like that's good. And that's why I like DJ a lot. DJ's a really good defender and has upgraded his passing ability so much that like he's becoming he's definitely, obviously as a Spurs fan, he's one of my favorite players, but as an NBA fan, he's become even more of one of my favorite players to watch, so I respect the grind that Elfrid Payton tries to do. And this Knicks team overall, like they might not have. It's another like kind of scrappy team. They might not have like the best names out there, and obviously like RJ Barrett didn't have a great season last year, but's having a better season this year. Julius Randle was not known to be a really strong player, and like a really good player, right, in that sense. But now he's playing like an all-star, and so it's like this team comes out and you never know when they just kind of come out heat with the hot hands and ready to go. So it'll be fun to see what we can do this week, right? But kind of moving forward, we can get into our weekly win-loss predictions, right? So for me, it's gonna, like I've said multiple times, like I said this throughout this entire podcast, it's gonna be a tough week. It's gonna be a week full of us just like coming out to play, but then it's also going to be full of us coming out and them just being able to just go toe to toe with us. And it can be both a very smooth or a very rough week for us. And I already got my brother's predictions out here. For me, I would say 3-1 to just give us a solid cushion. Let me go pull up what my brother Chris had to say about that. For me, 3-1 to put on um to put on a cushion, just kind of say like maybe we'll lose one of those games. I feel like we can definitely win against Detroit, and then the other three, there's gonna be a toss up. Like maybe LaMelo comes out and just destroys us, but I don't know for sure. I feel like that one's a lot less likely than seeing Cleveland and New York come out to play. Um, and then even then, like with those 2 days of rest, maybe we come out to just whoop New York. So it's like we'll see what happens then. You know, we could probably like I think that we could definitely beat Detroit, and then like with that rest, we'll probably be able to beat New York if we play our cards right. But the maybe like the Charlotte game kind of be a little scary. I in terms of like scaredness on like a 1 to 10 scale, if Detroit was a 1 and Cleveland was like an 8, Charlotte would be like a 3 or 4, and then New York would be like a 5 or 6. So it's like those it's not necessarily like going to be a crazy game, but you never know whenever one of those teams just kind of picks up the hot end. So that cushion is just like, well, you might take one loss this game, but I think we could probably bring out bring it out and come out with a positive record for the week. My brother Chris had also said 3-1 this week. I have to, and this speaking on his behalf, I have to acknowledge how bad we've been on the second game of back-to-backs, but this is our chance to boost the record with some Eastern Conference games. So, like he said, it's a very weak Eastern Conference, or not a very weak Eastern Conference, but it's a weaker Eastern Conference, and we have to kind of take that into consideration. But at the same time, for me, these Eastern Conference teams have also been competitive. They've also been going toe to toe with teams like the Bucks and the Lakers. So it's like, all right, well, we'll see what we can do against them. You know, we're not the Lakers, we're not the Bucks, we're not the Clippers. You know, so maybe they actually do end up coming out on top one of these games, right? And then my brother Josh says 4-0 because we'll kind of get into this a little bit more right here. Road trip predictions. This is going to be second 2 through 5 for the road trip, right? So excuse me. It's going to be 2 through 5 on the road trip. So, uh, our first game was against Atlanta. We're going to be playing against these 4 teams this week, and then we'll be going against Indiana and OKC. And so, hearing that, my brother Josh, or we're kind of like getting some road trip predictions. For me, like I said, we we had kind of came out against Atlanta. It's been pretty good, and this week can be scary. I don't know if we'll be able to kind of go undefeated in this week, especially with the back to back, and it being road games. You know, so it's like we might be able to bring it out undefeated, but we might not. And that's exactly what my brother Josh has our entire road trip saying that we're gonna go 7-0. I have us going 5-2. Chris has us going 5-2 for the road trip, right? Obviously, we're 1-0 on the road trip right now. We have these 4. We have these next 4, and then 2 after that, right? And so for me, splitting Indiana and OKC would kind of be the big thing here. Shea has been playing really well. He's been playing from what I just see on Twitter and stuff like that. People are saying that he should be in All-Star conversations. I couldn't tell you if that's true or not, but if he should be, whatever the case may be, that means that we'll be going against an All-Star considered player, right? But a young star in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, right? And so it'll be interesting to see what we can do against OKC. Obviously, they have a weird little core, but they're not bad either. I mean, yeah, they are bad, but they're nobody's expecting them to kind of bring out a win. And it's kind of like the same thing with Indiana. You know, they traded their one of their best players in Victor Oladipo for like Karis LeVert, and so they like they're not looking too pretty either. But at the same time, Miles Turner is having a career year, and Sabonis is still playing like an all-star. So it's like, you never know. We could lose. We could totally lose against a team like Indiana, especially with their size against us. Sabonis might have like a career night against us because we don't have any interior defense if Jakob's not out there. But yeah, like that's it. Like our road trip's gonna be very interesting to see. I think like I said, the most things that I'm scared about the back-to-back and just seeing like an Eastern Conference team just kind of be able to hand us an L one night, honestly. So that's why I would say that we'd go 5-2. I can understand where my brother, where Josh says we'd go 7-0. I can understand where he would say that, because it's like if he did say that, or if we do go 7-0, it's because we beat some teams that were just weaker than us. You know, that just don't have the talent like we do. Um, and we were able to come out to play every night. You know, but I don't know if I personally don't think our team is that consistent enough just yet to where we could go on a 7-game win streak. Um, so that's the only thing that I would say. Like, there's gonna be a night where DeMar doesn't have a good night, and Derek doesn't have a good night, and Lonnie doesn't have a good night, and DeJounte doesn't have a good night. Like as much as I like to say, like, oh man, yeah, one of these guys cannot have a good night and the rest of our team be able to pick it up. No, that's just not the case. If one of our guys doesn't have a good night, which for the most part this season, um, we haven't, like, the only times I've seen it is when Derek didn't have a good night against Golden State, but DeJounte had a career night that night, and DeJounte's not gonna have career nights every night that one of our players doesn't have a good night. So it's like, for me, if one of our guys doesn't have it going, I feel like most of our team doesn't have it going. So it's like, um, I just feel like if anything, we need to be consistent, and I'd love to see, like, I mean, obviously, one thing that has been that we didn't even talk about a lot is kind of like how Keldon's been in a bit of a slump recently, and we've been winning games. So it's like, yeah. Obviously, we do have one guy who's not playing to his best abilities, and we're still winning games because the rest of our guys are being able to pick up his slack. But it's still the fact of, like, I don't know, if DeJounte doesn't have a good night, I feel like DeMar has to have a really good night. Derek has to have a really good night for our guys to be able to squeak out a win. And it's like the same thing. If Derek or if DeMar, if Lonnie comes out a little streaky, like, it can happen. And I think that inconsistency will lead to 2 of the losses for this 7 games. With that being said, though, I have finished my solo podcast, my one time being able to talk by myself. I had a lot of fun doing that. If Just a quick reminder to let y'all know to follow us at Heroes Half Court on Twitter. Obviously, we do stream. Once again, we do stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Periscope every Sunday at 10 a.m. You can catch us next week, 221. Hopefully my brothers will be here and I don't have to talk for an hour and a half straight, right? But uh like we've been working hard on this stuff, and obviously, uh like I think our dedication kind of shows here, because I've been, like, not necessarily that my brothers aren't dedicated, but I'm here doing this podcast right now, and um obviously, like, there are going to be those weeks where, like my brother Chris doesn't be able to make it, my brother Josh doesn't be able to make it, I don't get to make it for the week, right? And whatever the case may be, I think all of us are ready to step up to the plate to be able to say, all right, it's just going to be us two. And for me, like, I kind of, just to toot my own horn here for a little bit, I kind of had to step up a little bit, because both of my brothers had to take a step back for the day, and I got to do a whole hour and a half to myself with a good couple viewers in today. So I really enjoyed it, and it was super fun, and I I it's very clear to me how hard it is to be able to keep a conversation going by yourself, and I have to, like, now I have, like, a bit of a newfound respect for, like, those solo podcasters, those guys who are able to just kind of talk to themselves, even like the solo YouTubers that make those 15-20 minute videos, um just talking to themselves for however long straight, so with that being said, this has been a very fun week, a very great week. We're looking for a really good win tonight against Charlotte, and we hope everything goes right. But other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope you all have a very wonderful and blessed week, and I hope that everything goes good for everybody. But with that being said, I'm out. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.